Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the Conscious Leader podcast, where today I'm diving into the world of health and wellness. Everything that you need to know to feel your best. I'm your host, Elise Abraham, and today I've got something truly special lined up for you. In this episode, we're actually going to explore the power of holistic well-being with three incredible guests who bring a unique perspective to the table. First, we've got Philipp Märzhäuser. He's a trailblazer in sustainable fitness, and he's here. He's going to be talking about integrating movement into your daily life without burning out. I have Louise Rose. She's a nutrition expert, and so she's finding that balance between our body and our soul, how we nourish our body, and balancing it with our fitness. And last but certainly not least, Violet Raptou. She is a holistic nutritionist. She's doing all things whole foods, probiotics, the supplements that we need so that our organs are rejuvenated and renewed. Let's get started.
This young man lost, that was about 28 kilogram in 5 months. A McKinsey research paper that showed trends in health and fitness. And it's not only a trend, but as you said, they realized it gives me an edge. It gives me more energy, better focus, better sleep. And I want to show people that they are not dependent on their DNA. They hold it in their own hands. It's within their power and their day-to-day decisions that make a huge difference. I want people to really understand that health is not to be taken for granted.
How we can lead through health. Where do you see the health and wellness industry going in the next 5 to 10 years? I mentioned, I was in the military, the psychological piece of how do I go from a problem to a solution?
Losing weight, building muscle, losing body. If you don't like chicken and you don't like broccoli, that's a horrible request.
I'm just on a mission to help women so that they don't have to suffer the way I did. 80,000 new chemicals have been introduced into our environment since World War II.
On-site personal training is not more valuable than online personal training, because think about it. If we were to come together in your local gym, let's say twice a week, I would be focused upon you and your progress for maybe 2 hours per week. But if you were to sign in on a program that I have, we would be in contact every day, sometimes multiple times a day, because I get to oversee your level of motivation. I can see concerning your workout, how many sets do you do? Which exercises do you struggle with? What do you prefer in terms of training style? Talking about nutrition, do you have any preferences that I should really bear in mind? So I would say it's highly adaptable, and it offers you much more on a service level than on-site personal training can do. That is more limited. But my thinking in the beginning was quite the opposite. But as I kept reading on it and I found out all the functionalities and how easy it is to hold people accountable, even if they are thousands of kilometers or miles away, I knew this is what I wanted to do. And so far, I've been enjoying it, and the clients do so as well.
Yes. You have a lot of healthy clients, healthy and happy, right? Because when you're healthy, then you become happy, and you highlight that, not just show it, you highlight it. You highlight the happiness value as well, and the healthy value, not in an egotistical way, oh, I could get you this result. You do it in a way where people are recognizing when we're working together, you will get and see individual results that's going to work for
Exactly.
you. So definitely that's how you do it. Now, what for those of you who are probably brand new to seeing who you are, they're thinking, well, what makes you different from another virtual health and fitness consultant or coach that's on the internet?
Yeah, that's a good one. And to confess, it's challenging to really put yourself out there and what makes you different. I've been thinking about that, and I had one testimonial of a guy we met by chance on X. He's also from Germany. He said what he liked about my approach is that it's a more science-based approach, but it doesn't lack the emotional component. So that means if I were to differentiate myself, why wouldn't you just follow a fitness influencer? That's, by the way, a topic that I will write in my newsletter. It's because these people, they really show you what an ideal physique looks like, but you cannot interact with these people. That means they're just painting the canvas of what is possible, but they usually are genetically gifted and also physically enhanced, if I can say that.
Mhm.
So I remember former clients told me, apart from the advice and the knowledge that I have, what they enjoyed is that I know it sounds maybe dull, but it is not. They said they can really hold a conversation with me apart from the whole exercise, nutrition kind of thing, because they say, okay, you have a wealth of knowledge, yes, but you also know about life, about whatever, economy, politics. It's not something that is valid or has value for every client, but it's something that some people like to tap into. And they also said, I have a great sense of humor. So when we write back and forth, yes, results are number one. So people have to trust me, my knowledge, all of that. But in the end of the day, they do have to want to engage with me, because it's not like, here's your exercise plan, have fun. It's a relationship that you start building upon. And yes, also this background from working in a global company as a health promotion business partner, that is something that sets me apart, because quite honestly, I haven't found anybody else having that on X, but that does not mean that makes me any better. It's just that makes me different from the other uh, majority of trainers out there
Yes.
and health coaches.
Yes. You touched on relationship,
Yeah.
having a relationship with your client. And I want to stay there for a moment. And with what I do, I'm always sharing about communication and effective communications. But you're going even deeper. Yes, there's the relationship, but now you're building a connection. And the
Yeah.
connection goes beyond um, what people are wanting. And I mean, you've been around, Philip, for a while, more than a minute. You weren't born yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So, so connection is key. And where the industry, where consumers are going, where industry is going right now, people are coming back to connection. They want to feel and be connected genuinely, outside of saying, "This is how I can help you." Um, and so this is my service. There you go. Join my free class.
Yeah.
Register for my free this. And then they're trying to bombard you with sales, 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 sales. Because they're trying to put you through a pipeline. You're saying, you know what? I'm going to give you value. And on top of that, I'm going to build a relationship. I'm going to build a connection with you because I
Yeah.
genuinely want to know you. And as an entrepreneur, as well as you have your regular business, so of course,
Mhm.
your clients that you take on the side, it's they're not huge amount. They're enough uh, for that you're not overburdening and overworking yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you place such an emphasis on the connection piece with your clients and your personal business and the team that you are helping to cultivate and structure, from the janitor all the way up to the CEO of the business, right? Because you're part of this
Yeah.
whole team that's doing that. Why is connection for you key?
I can give you two examples. One is, that was during the initial phase of my on-site personal training. That was before online personal training. It's one of the most outstanding testimonials in my history. Not only based on the number of kilogram this young man lost, that was about 28 kilogram in 5 months. Yet, yes, that's great. But what stood out to me is it really wasn't until years later when I received a WhatsApp from this person. His name was Aaron, and I didn't recognize the second he sent the message who it was. But then, of course, I connected the dots. And what he told me is, you remember me, Philipp? And it was, I don't know, it was 2 years or 3 years ago. And he said, I want to thank you personally because you set something in motion, which ended up him becoming a gym rat. I know it doesn't have just a positive connotation. He's not living in the gym, but he just enjoys going there, I don't know, 5 to 6 days a week. And he said he ended up studying nutrition. So he now works in a nutrition company. And that, apart from the result he got, that just made me proud, that he said, I can trace that back to you. And I remember the first contact we had, he came with his mother because he was just 15 years back then. And he was heavily obese, to be honest. And so we sat there, the three of us, and I was listening. Listening. I don't know. I was asking the first question after 10 or 15 minutes. And later on, during one of our sessions, he said, the difference between our first conversation and the trainer he worked with before was, I was not jumping to conclusions too fast. I was just listening first and then acting on what he told me, really asking further questions to understand what caused him maybe to be obese, or what his frustrations, what he was concerned with, how did it happen. And of course, one by one, peeling away the layers, I understood, okay, this is what we can work on, and we took it one step at a time. So this is what I mean. You can screw it from the very beginning, or you can lay a strong foundation by making the client feel understood and building that trust. So the more the client, the person, opens up with me, the better I can help, the better advice I can give. And right now I have one client from South Africa. He's helping me with writing, the writing aspect. He's a former marketing agency writer, and I do help him. And yeah, we get along almost on a level that we are friends. I'm not saying that's necessary. It's not necessary as a coach client, but it doesn't hurt either. It's really something you are, the person shares some personal things with you that makes you better understand how this person ticks. And so in turn, it makes it easier for me to really build an experience for him, not just the pure training, nutrition, habit kind of thing.
When you're looking at health, it's like the trifecta. It's important how you're feeding and fueling your body, what you're eating. It's important how you're moving your body, and which is with the exercise. And then, the mindset and the mental piece and the stress reducing, because, so often people, like, they'll hire a personal trainer, but they're not looking at the nutrition. They're not looking at the mindset piece. And that's so important because, we think we're so sophisticated and advanced, but truly at the core of things, we are very caveman-like, if you will. And, the fight, flight, freeze. And when you're not reducing your stressors and you're not allowing yourself to calm down and your nervous system to settle, that your body's going to go, oh gosh, what are we, preparing for? What's getting ready to attack us? And so it's going to hold on to all of the food that you eat, and it's going to hold tight, and especially around the midsection and the belly. And so often, especially for women, we don't want to carry weight there. Put it on our butt, put it on our chest, but not in our midsection. Like, that's not where we want it. And so often it's because of the stressors, and especially with the executive woman, like we talked about, she's got a lot on her. If she's got kids, she's probably got a spouse, significant other, she's got the work demands, and so there's a lot of stressors. And it's learning how can I work with that? What can I do to reduce my stress? What can I do to create a good morning routine and evening routine? What can I learn to, use my breath to calm down my body when things get stressful and hyped up? And so, like I said, that first session with my client, we look at the nutrition for them. We look at fitness and exercise for them. We look at the mindset, the mental, the stress relieving activities, and we come up with that plan. And then we say, okay, what are the goals? And those of us I was in the corporate world before, and you like the goal setting. You like the quantifiable goals to be able to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, this many times a week for this long, or, when it comes to nutrition, I'm going to eat this. I'm going to eat this quantity of that, things like that. And so that's where we create those goals so that she can then say, okay, I did that exercise that I said I would do. I did that nutrition that I said I would do, and be able to check that box. And then when we meet each week, it's reviewing those goals and how did you do? Where can I support you? How can I help you? And then there's also education.
Yeah.
There's so much information out there. We oftentimes get overwhelmed and like fatigued with what this says, this says that, and and it's also, like you alluded to, it's different for us and our bodies. What works for one may not work for another. Like the keto diet is the perfect example. Some people had great success while they were on it, and some people didn't. And then some people, they had success while they were on it, and then they went back to normal life and they found, oh, that didn't work after all, because now I've put on all that weight that I lost and then some. So it's all about being curious, again, that personalized approach, learning what works for you, learning what works for your body. And, like we talked about too, with the hormones and changes and those things too, taking that into account. And so that's the beauty of it, is being able to work with them individually and setting those goals, seeing that progress. And, the other piece of it too is the executive woman. She has business lunches. So I'm going to teach her how, when you go out to a restaurant, if you want that meal to be a healthier meal, even though you're eating out, this is what you need to consider. This is what you need to look at. And, it's not, again, it's not about deprivation. I'm not going to tell my clients, you can't have that glass of wine with a prospective client, or, at happy hour or whatever. But we're going to look at other options. We're going to look at, if I want this happy hour to be healthier, what is a better beverage choice that I can make, and things like that. And so it's all about just learning how to take the health journey and put it in with life, and not go, oh, well, I'm going to try to lose 20 pounds in a month. And I'm going to deprive myself, and I'm going to, lose all this weight, and then go back to what I was doing before, because that's just going to create that yo-yo and that weight going up and down. And there's going to be no happiness and satisfaction there, because it's not long-term, it's not sustainable.
100%.
And so, so that's my biggest thing with prospective clients and clients is, let's work together. Let's create something personalized for you, and something that you can live with ongoing and make it sustainable. And like I said, looking at that nutrition piece, that fitness piece, and then the mindset, stress relieving activities. And, we talked about the executive woman, but another client that I enjoy working with, like classification, is so many women in the corporate world. Like if they come out of college, and let's say they've been a student athlete, and they were told what to do for exercise, and they were told what to eat, they come into the corporate world and they're like, well, my health was really good and I felt really great and my body fat was low. But now I'm in this world, and, maybe they have a sedentary desk job, and they're like, now what? Nobody's here to tell me what to do, how to do it, and what to eat. So, I enjoy those clients too. And on the other end of the spectrum, maybe she's preparing for retirement or just in retirement. And, the structure has changed. She's not going to, the office. And she's like, oh, well, now what? What do I do? And so it's really cool because it is so personalized that we can look at, okay, where are you? What are your goals? And how can we create a plan that's going to work for you and something you're going to enjoy?
Of course.
Movement exercise
Yeah.
doesn't have to be dreaded. It doesn't have to be something where you're like, oh, I have to go exercise. And, it can be fun.
Yes.
Pickleball is a big thing right now, and so many people are enjoying it. And it's great exercise and it's great for socialization. And, it's like with so many people go to golf to network and work with like prospective clients and things like that. Pickleball is a great option for that. It gets you moving, it gets that social piece, it gives you an opportunity to, again, maybe spend some time with a prospective client or a client and, putting those things together and
Yes, of course. Yeah.
capitalizing on the best of both
Yeah,
worlds.
of course.
So again, it doesn't have to be dreaded. It can be something that you enjoy and it long-term sustainable. That's the big thing.
100%. And I like the nutrition part because we need bigger on the nutrition. And I'm sure you get this with your clients. So going back from vegetarian, vegan, it's been very, very helpful to me because that's what my body always needed and is sustained with. So there's that. I'm going to go back to the beginning before you started, the business. Why did you decide I want to help women? I know you were in corporate, you mentioned that. Why do I want to help women with their health and wellness?
So for me, and it's such a hard moment for me when I was mid 30s. I'm proudly
Yeah.
45 now. My daughter was in middle school, and it was never a weight thing for me personally. It was, I wanted to tone up, I wanted to feel better, wanted to be more confident. Like you mentioned earlier about like the dancing and in the movement and, feeling better in that. And that was my motivation. Plus, being able to be that role model for my daughter and showing her how you can have that fitness piece and the nutrition. And so I got started on my personal health journey. And I was amazed at how something I felt like was always shown to me as this big undertaking and this big thing that you had to do. What really wasn't that hard. I started again, my daughter was in middle school, single mom, and so I started with doing exercise at
Yeah.
home, and I found that I really enjoyed it. And started working on my nutrition and learning the combinations of foods and how to best fuel my body, and working on the mindset piece. And so as I had success and I had the ahas, it was, I want to share this with others. I don't want to keep this to myself. Others need to know. And why not me? And so that's when I got started into coaching and being able to work with others and take away that overwhelm of all the noise that we hear, all the things that we feel like we're supposed to do and should do's, and just really simplify it and allow them to see that progress and those changes. And I said earlier, additional certification since I've added in a yoga certification. I have my 200-hour, and I lead 4 yoga classes a week. So that's a great way, 1 for exercise, 2 for the mindset, the mental piece, and reducing stress. I also do Reiki, which is energy work. And again, that's the stress relieving piece. And I also work with essential oils and incorporating the power of scent and aromatherapy and what that can do. An easy example is you can use lavender oil to calm and relax you. And then you can use peppermint to energize and, give you that like second wind, if you will. And so it's a great way to be able to work with clients and say, hey, just roll some essential oil on your wrist, sniff it and let the scent, let the aromatherapy really work for you and help you as you go through your health journey. And it's beautiful what I've been able to bring into my work, in addition to the health and life coaching, and being able to support my clients on that holistic approach, like I talked about with the nutrition, the fitness, and the mindset.
Yeah.
And it's been a wonderful journey and so much fun. And the beauty of it is I don't know where it's going yet. You know, what else I'm going to be interested in, and what things are going to come across my path that I want to share with clients.
100%. So you keep it kind of open. Apple cider vinegar actually helping to feed the candida.
The pathogen, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's so they estimate that over 70% of people worldwide have candida overgrowth.
Yes, I
So
believe
chances are that the people listening, 70% have it.
Yeah.
And, if you're feeding it with, refined sugar and sweets, apple cider vinegar, even kombucha. And the reason for that is because the kombucha and the apple cider vinegar have yeast, right? Like there's what is it? It's called a SCOBY for kombucha, right? A symbiotic bacterial culture of yeast, right? So that's just feeding it, unfortunately. So it's and people are I was unaware. I had no idea until I studied and found this particular protocol that 100% worked. And then when I see other protocols that include these things, I get disheartened because I know it's not going to work for people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's logical. It makes sense. You can't kill a yeast if you're feeding, if you're consuming
the yeast. And there's so many things, like even doing like hydrocolon therapy or with the oil and stuff like that. And you're trying to disimpact the intestine, clear it out. But then
Yeah.
if the gut isn't healed, and this is a huge topic, right? The gut, which is like
Yes.
the second brain. There's
Yeah.
all the different
Yep.
brains, right? That communicate
Right.
with your real brain, that's
Yeah.
sending all of these different signals. And people, this is just science. You could just go on Google. You don't have to read a scientific research review or anything like that. You could just Google it, and you
Yes.
will get this information about
Mhm.
the stomach, and how now they're looking at the gut as a brain that's sending the signals to the body, and how in order to heal yourself, you need to heal your gut. There's a
Yeah.
whole book on this. I actually have a book that I read by Dr. Vilalda, Grow a New Body, literally.
Yeah.
Grow a New Body. And he was
I
talking
haven't
about
seen
that.
that one.
Oh, you have
Oh,
this,
nice.
yeah, you have the same book, right? Like, no, you don't.
No, I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that
Yeah,
book, but I'm interested. Yeah.
yeah, and he talks about Candida, and he talks about, you talked about supplements as well, and taking supplements. And we'll get
Mhm.
into that.
Yeah.
My question for you, you started
Mhm.
off, you always knew you wanted to be, you're always interested in nutrition. Now
Mhm.
you get into teaching. So, I mean, it works hand in hand now, because
It does.
your new career path was teaching people, and you were teaching high schoolers who's coming with all kinds of attitude and know it allness and everything like that. So I'm sure you are encountering people, maybe through DMs
Mhm.
or whatever, with a know
Yeah.
it all attitude. So you've been properly prepared with your teaching career, right? Um,
Yes. Yes.
when you before you went to the nutrition school, and you went to all of these naturopaths and all the different doctors, and I'm sure there's so many people that was saying to you, Violet, these are quacks. And if people don't know what a quack is, it means like you're no good, right? They're scammers, as my daughter would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's an old word, quacks. Not that there
Right.
are quacks. I'm just, I'm just using a
Yeah.
word,
Yeah.
and right, I'm just illustrating this point. I'm sure you've heard maybe from family members, they're quacks. They don't know what you're doing. Go to your regular doctor, take the antibiotics, uh, and then you
Mhm.
will heal. Then you will recover. But then
Mhm.
logically, because you have some basic information on nutrition and health and wellness, you're probably like, well, why am I taking the antibiotics? Because it's going to strip my gut lining. And then I
Yeah.
have to like retake probiotics to put back in my body.
Mhm.
Was that your mindset at that time when you were going through this process and probably facing um, some challenges with, well meaning family members and friends who, knew that you were on this path?
I actually didn't experience that.
Mhm.
I had the full support of my family, trying to find answers for myself, and they all knew that I am all about natural, you know, um, ways to heal the body. And what's interesting was, when I initially went to my doctor, because I was literally waking up exhausted after 8 hours of sleep, and I was drinking coffee 2 to 3 times a day just to get through my day and falling asleep again at 6 p.m. It was that bad. And I went to my doctor for blood work, and then when he told, I got a call back, so I knew that they had found something, and I suspected that I had, a thyroid issue, and he suspected it too once I told him everything that I was experiencing. And he called me back, and in my brain, I was like, okay, he's gonna tell me it's my thyroid, and he's gonna try to put me on medication, and I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna say no. Like, I knew that from the get-go. I said, I'm gonna figure this out naturally. I'm gonna figure out how to, reset my body. And he basically said, your thyroid's fine, as I mentioned earlier. What? That makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he told me I had fatty liver disease and just to lose the weight. I'm like, that doesn't help me, because I'm telling you, I've tried and it's not working.
Right.
So obviously the thyroid's an issue.
Okay.
So anyhow, that's what happened. And that's when he literally gave me a copy of my blood test results. I said, I'm taking this to a naturopath and I'm going to figure it out. And I took it to a naturopath, and she basically had me on a very high fat, high protein, animal based diet. Didn't address my liver issue, even though it was there. And I, in my brain at that time, I hadn't studied nutrition at that point, but in my brain at that time, I said, okay, well, I'm not sure how I'm going to balance my hormones if I'm consuming the hormones of an animal, but I'm not the expert here. I'm just going to do what she says, and let's just go for it. And, it didn't work, obviously. So, because the liver wasn't being addressed. So, I did have support. It was hard because my kids were little and I was, working full time. It was just, yeah, it was a hard time in my life. But the thing is, it was a priority for me in my life. And I think that's the difference, is that I was just so extremely determined to get my health back on track for myself, but also for my kids, right? I felt like I wasn't there for them when I needed to be and as present as I could be, because I was so tired and I was just so unwell, right? So it was really a priority for me to get my health back on track. And I just did whatever I needed to do to make that happen.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're talking about, you have young kids, you have a husband, you have your children, you're going to work, so you're already stressed out. So the stress already is producing cortisol. Now you're
Um,
sleeping, so the body's not resting, so the body is continuously in overdrive.
yeah.
Every cell in your body. Then you have a whole bunch of free radicals that's just going everywhere because you're killing these
Mhm.
cells, your healthy
Yeah.
cells, by drinking 3 cups of coffee a
Yeah.
day. That's a lot of
Yeah.
coffee. That's a lot
Yeah.
of caffeine.
That was making the candida worse,
A hundred
100%.
percent.
Well,
And
yeah.
your mitochondria and all of these other things. And now you go in and you're hearing about, okay, go on this high protein, low carb nutrition plan or diet.
Yeah.
But you went with it because you're figuring, okay, I got to figure out what's going. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
reading tons of books to try
Yeah.
to like learn, how do I fire up my metabolism? the metabolism,
Yeah.
which is tied to the gut. And in a lot of those books, they're telling you to do what? Exercise.
Yeah.
Do HIIT
Yeah.
exercises, right? Do HIIT exercises.
Exactly.
Do hot yoga. Do spin cycle, and all of these things, which is they're nice, they're good, and especially when you're young, you can do all the HIIT stuff. I mean, when you're older too, you can, if that's what you decide to do. But you're like,
Hmm.
I'm doing the work. I'm working
Yeah.
out. What do you
Yeah.
mean? And so that can be very
Yeah.
frustrating. I understand. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, it was because I was told to do HIIT training, which was the absolute wrong thing to do
Mhm.
with what I had. So I was following, the protocol for the HIIT training to the T. And I had lost about 20 pounds on what she was telling me to do, but then I plateaued and I'd go back and I'd be frustrated because I'm like, I'm doing everything, but nothing's changing. And then it was like guesswork. And I'm like, I don't want guesswork.
Yeah,
I just want
I
answers,
need real work. Yeah, and then I'm
And
sure you
it was
got
frustrating.
it's your mindset now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's your
Exactly. Right.
mindset. You need to change your mindset. You got to change your thinking. Go do some meditation. Do some hypnosis for weight loss. Do some
Right.
breathing for weight loss. Yeah, I'm
More than the supplements that weren't effective. They weren't doing
yeah,
anything
just
for me. I don't
expensive tea.
remember what she was giving me. Yeah, at the time.
You were taking
I mean, I'm
expensive
not
tea.
popping
Yeah,
pills. Yeah, I need something
you need
here
something.
because
So now you go
yeah,
to nutrition school. You went through all of
yeah,
that, and you're like, I can't. I'm taking the plunge. You have the full support of your
yeah,
husband. You have the support of your
yeah,
family, and you're like, I'm doing this. I got to figure this out, because what
yeah.
people fail to understand is that when we get into this cycle, if we don't figure out our health, if we don't take command and have the
Hmm.
authority over our health, that means someone else is, or someone else's
Yeah.
is. And if you're not taking care of it now and investing your time, your money, your intention into your health, into your wellness, you're going to be investing that money into someone else's pocket that is just killing you.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now you said you made this choice, you have the support, you go to nutrition school, you learned, wow, how to heal yourself. What do you need?
hmm
And what did that look like? Please share. What did that look like to start healing yourself? You said it takes 90 days, but I got to know.
right. So, yeah. So the thing is, I think sometimes you just have this intuitive inner knowing about things, right? So I had read the China study, if you've heard of that. And basically, at the end of the book, once I reached the end of that book, there was an ad for a plant-based nutrition school. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to do that one day. And then I went to the website, looked at it, and there was something about it that just held me back. I don't know why I didn't jump on it. And then, through a series of events, I found my nutrition school that I went to. And as soon as I went to the website, I got like chills all over my body. I'm like, oh my God, I have my answers here. Like I intuitively knew it. And so it took me even a year after that to even take the plunge to actually do it, because I'm like, how can I possibly work full time, have my kids, and go to school at the same time? Like, that's just insanity, right? But it was just always in the back of my mind. And I'm like, I got to do this for myself. And so I did. And it was during lockdown, to be honest, in 2020. So I had more time at that time. So it worked out well in that sense for me. But then it got, more difficult when things opened up again, to continue my studies part-time and everything and work, but it was worth it. So as I was learning, I started implementing what I was learning, and it was just the best decision I ever made. So my school is actually based in the US. It's called Health Mastery Institute. And the reason why I chose it was because it
so like I had that immediate inner knowing, first of all, but also it was based, the whole curriculum is based on over 50 years of, peer-reviewed nutrition science and 15,000 studies. And the school is not affiliated with anybody. Mm-hmm. And that was super important to me because other schools that I've looked at, it's like, okay, well, this supplement company is affiliated with them, which means those practitioners are, promoting those supplements, or they're affiliated with certain, other companies, and there's an influence there. And I didn't want a school that had any sort of, economic sponsorship from these people, because I wanted to learn the truth and the reality and have an unbiased education, which is what I got. And that was super important to me. And, as my teacher in nutrition school always says, there's life proof. It's life proof, right? I mean, thousands of people have healed all over the world from this candida cleanse that she has, and her juice fasting protocols and all these other things that she offers. So, I know it works. It worked for me. It works for thousands of people. And so I'm on a mission, like I said, to, help other people. And I did it through working so hard. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, how on earth did I do it? But I did, because again, it was so important for me to heal and myself. And I just, was so much better and was able to be there for my kids, my family. It was just such a life-changing, thing I did for myself. And I just want to help other people do the same, because I know people are suffering.
Obviously, it's life transformative, and it's going to impact your household.